Okay, so welcome to the first digital art class. Haha! And now everything that I'm going to teach you guys from now until we're out of school, I'm going to keep it very creative problem solving based. So I don't feel like it's super fair to essentially ask y'all to do really long, in-depth projects because you don't have me there to help you, right? And we also don't have a ton of time. I want to keep every assignment, everything that you guys have to do to about 20 minutes a week. But I do still want you to have the opportunity to incorporate some creativity in your day. And that's just going to help you hopefully take a little break from things that are a little more stressful, that are a little more computer based. And so that's kind of how this class is going to work. Why do you get on it? It's important that you get on this class for the mere fact that if you don't get on the class, you're not going to know what's going on, and then you're going to have to watch the replay, and it just adds a little extra accountability. Plus, it gives you some community, right? Like, I'm so glad to see you guys. I'm so glad to see humans because I haven't seen anybody besides my husband for like 2 weeks, so these classes are actually kind of nice. This week, I'm going to do a little bit more talking at you just so we can get set up so I can show you guys what we're doing next. But then the next week, I want to open up the first 10 minutes of class for us to just talk about the things that we made and laugh and be able to have community in this class, okay? Because I only had you guys for about a week, but I was really loving your class. I'm not joking. And so I'm really sad to not be able to see y'all every day. And so I want to still have that community in here as much as I possibly can cultivate that, okay? So a few things. Number one, if you haven't uploaded your Google Classroom assignment yet, make sure to do that. Now, I'm giving a little bit of like relaxation on that because, again, people didn't know where their assignments were. They didn't know how to upload them. They didn't know what was going on. They were just trying to get toilet paper at the store. Like, we all have things going on, I understand, but we do want to still get those in. I emailed people's parents if they didn't turn them in, and it's not because I wanted to be like, aha, I gotcha. It's because I really wanted to just make sure that everybody knew where assignments were and knew that, even though it's art, we still have class, okay? And then as far as contacting me, please contact me via Remind 101 or email. If you don't have my Remind, then you can add it. It's on the Google Classroom stream. So contact me anytime you need to, anytime you have a question. And every single week, we're going to have class at 2 p.m. on Monday. It's going to be with the same link. I'm probably going to send you the link for a few weeks, but after that, you'll just click the link. And that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and talk about what your next little assignment is. And just bear with me because this is new for me too. Okay, so it's Corona time for artists and creatives to thrive. So really crappy things are happening in the world right now, I'm gonna be honest, but musicians, social media, artists, comedians, businesses, they're using creativity to adapt to this new normal, whatever this new normal is, right? So life doesn't pick back up when we get to go back to school, when we get to go back to work, when we get to go back to like hanging out in groups. Life is still happening right now, and I think that creative people have been showing that, right? So for example, Neil Diamond, the guy that sings like Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. Sorry you had to hear me sing. That guy, he created a coronavirus version of that song that was encouraging people to be smart in their daily activities. On social media, if you have TikTok, there's all these TikTok dances that are like, like doing a stay home dance, that kind of stuff. Artists, I'm going to show you different ways that artists are reacting to what's going on in the world right now in a minute. But think about comedians. Like, comedians are doing live streams from their homes with their kids in the background. Businesses are being really creative in the way that they're adapting to this. Like Orange Theory Fitness is doing live streaming workouts. I used to take my puppy to Bark Bar in Little Rock, and it's like an outdoor playground where they have food and drinks. But now, is somebody drawing on this? Whoa. Now, they are doing like little doggy goodie bags that you can pick up from the curbside. So everybody's being really creative and adapting to the world as it is right now. Even you guys might be being creative in how to entertain yourselves at home, right? Like, I just got a puzzle. I have a mini trampoline over here. Like, we're just trying to make it work. But I think that it's really fantastic thinking as an art teacher, because I think about how creativity and art can get people through a really hard time right now. And art is cool because it reacts to what is happening here in the world. And that may not be the case for every other subject And so, for example, like in the future, think about 10 years in the future, you're going to look back and the art and the culture and the things that we're doing in our day-to-day lives is like, that's going to remind you of this time. Like, I'm going to look back on this time and remember when I watched Tiger King on Netflix in 3 days, like that art was created, right? I mean, I remember when I was sitting here talking to you guys on Zoom and having to be creative with how I teach. So it can really give hints for the future in the culture, like how life was. So if you think about our history, the things that people are wearing, the things that are in the pictures, all of that is giving you hints into how art was at the time in which that art was created. Art can also incite people to take action. And so just like the media can make you want to act a certain way, or the news, art can also do that too. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. And art can also make you smile. And so I think it seems insensitive sometimes to have comedy in the fact that a lot of bad things are happening and there's a lot of uncertainty, but we're all going through this together. And we're doing it in different ways, but everybody's been affected by this, right? And so we can all be in our shared human experience in that and have some laughs and have some commonality, and that like we do have things in common and we can help each other get through this. So I'm going to show you some ways that artists are adapting and are creating things about what's happening in the world right now. So a nail artist, like you wouldn't really think that counts as an artist, but it still does in a lot of different ways. And so this artist, whose name that I cannot pronounce, but it's me, can't pronounce it. But she's taking different like sanitation things and cleanliness things and making them into nail designs. And so she took this Purell bottle, and one nail is clear, one nail has the Purell logo, one says advanced like it says here, one says refreshing like it says here. So she's taking this design of the bottle and putting it onto her fingernails. Here she's taken a latex glove and she's put like lavender nails over that. It's kind of glam, but it's making a commentary on how to kind of sanitize and stay clean. And it's cool, by the way, that like these are all Instagram accounts of artists that are making art right now, and we can see the behind the scenes of their work. This is stuff that's attached to her nails, even though you wouldn't think it is. It's like little bubble things that are attached to her nails, and that's, again, wash your hands, right? And then this one, I like this one a lot. So she took different comforts that we have at home, and she adapted all their logos, all the little like logos that are on them. Logos are the word and the way that it's designed, and she adapted those to say stay home or stay. And so you got your TikTok, Instagram, toilet paper, I think that's Clorox, Spotify, Friends, YouTube. So she adapted different parts of those logos to make a commentary on how people need to stay home, right? And again, I think it's really cool that you can see her, and she's a famous celebrity nail artist, but you can see the behind the scenes of what she's doing, even though she's doing it from home. This artist, his name is David Zinn. He lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and he is cheering people up by making quarantine-inspired street art. And so it's not like it is here everywhere. So my friends in other states, a lot of them have to stay home, and they can only go out for things like groceries and to the pharmacy. And so whenever they do get to go out, this artist is like, wow, I want people to be happy and kind of have some like cheer and just happen upon some of these things. And so he says on this one, he says, I asked these guys for advice on social distancing. They were stumped. And he created like little things on these log stumps. And again, it's just bringing a little bit of light as people can happen upon this in the day to day. And he even created just like little ones on the sidewalk where, you know, this like it's a petting zone where he like people are staying social distance from the dog. And it's just creating a commentary again on what is happening right now. And I included all these links in this slideshow. I'm going to share them with you as we go onward. Any slideshow that I show you guys, I am going to share in the Google Classroom, so you can kind of explore a little bit more on your own. If you look at the New York Times, or if you look at any news source and you type in photography of empty places or something like that on Google, you're going to find a bunch of famous landmarks and famous sites and big cities that are usually packed with things that are completely empty. And this is weird because I'm a person who travels a lot. And so even like in France here, this platform in front of the Eiffel Tower, I've never been there, but I know that it's usually packed with people and you can't even like get a clear picture of the Eiffel Tower. So it's kind of cool and beautiful that we're seeing all these places empty and you can like see them in their glory and see them just look really pretty and a clear shot. But it's also kind of creepy because you're used to these places being so hustle and bustle. And so again, like people from the future, like we're living in history, like right now, people from the future can see like this time and see these empty spaces that are never empty and think, wow, like people were really at home, right? And so that's a way that photographers are showing empty streets and landmarks to kind of make a commentary on that. And photography is art, by the way. Jose Manuel Ballester, he's an artist and he's photoshopping out all the people from famous artworks to make a comment on social distancing. So where people typically are, there are no more people. And so he took this Last Supper painting and he took all the people out of it to make a comment that like, okay, where's everybody at, you know? And there is more examples of this on the link right here if you want to check those out later. And then like just TikToks and stuff, like there's some funny things on there that are just commenting on like people staying home. And that's just a silly thing, but it's also like those people are incorporating creativity to make a video. And so while that's not visual art that you sit down and make, it still is you being a creative person. I get a lot that people think that they aren't creative, but you are creative. It's just like coming up with different ideas to express yourself. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. Art can be super meaningful when you're creating it about the world and the culture in which you currently live. I mean, I think it's incredible that some people can go outside and paint a tree and the tree looks like a tree. It's beautiful. It's great. But what does that really make you feel? Like it might be like, oh, wow, pretty tree. But it doesn't give you any like feeling in the same feeling that you get whenever you're sharing a related experience with somebody. And I think that art and creativity and culture can give us a space where we can all connect in the way that we're feeling similar and that we're sharing kind of the same experiences. So that's going to make the art even more meaningful. People have been using art history throughout time to comment on our modern culture. So a lot of people take really famous artworks. Think Mona Lisa, think like The Starry Night. This one is called American Gothic, and making different spoofs about them. So this one over here is you got your Hillary and your Donald. You got Barbie and Ken, you have the Simpsons. So whenever the artist made those is when those things were popular, or when those things were really prevalent and talked about in our culture and life. This one is called Girl with the Pearl Earring by an artist named Vermeer in 1665. Somebody painted a camera in there because the girl was taking a selfie. If you did that nowadays, you might have like a girl doing like the whoa and like having her camera set up to be on timer or something like that. Somebody did the same thing with The Simpsons. This artist here is called Edward Hopper. This is from the 1940s, and he always created artworks that were commenting on social isolation. So not being around a ton of people or feeling really lonely, even in a city of a lot of people, which is kind of interesting given the lens of what we're going through right now. But he painted a lot of people that were lonely. So this guy is lonely sitting at a bar kind of late at night in a city. And so some artists took that and they said, okay, well, I'm not going to a bar to like talk to people if I'm lonely. I'm going there to like use their Wi-Fi. So it's interesting how people are taking these older artworks that are saying things about that time and adapting it to say things about this time. So your assignment. Your first assignment, since we actually started digital teaching and didn't just give you packets and things, is to recreate the master. So recreate a famous artwork with quarantine edition. So first step, pick a famous painting or artwork to recreate. I'm going to show you where to find these. You have to find the artwork title, the artist, and where the artist is from. So there's a few different ways that you can communicate this information to me. Here I say upload a picture of the original artwork and your image to the Google Classroom assignment. So ideally, you could make something like this where you have your picture and the original artwork next to each other. If you can't figure out how to do that, at the very least, make the title of your picture that you upload this information, or you can add a comment. Any way that you communicate that to me, I really don't care. I'm not super picky about that. Just make sure somehow Google Classroom, I know what artwork you based your thing off of, or else I'm just like, oh, cool, girl, you're wrapped in a blanket. There are hundreds of these kinds of photos, and photographers, please just like look it up. That's totally fine. Just make sure that you're using it as inspiration, and looking at the examples that I show you, again, to inspire you, but still change things and make it your own. Be creative with this, right? So, like, I don't know if you guys have seen the famous artwork, The Scream, but it's a guy that's screaming and he's like, ah. You could do that, but try to add some different elements in it and be a little bit more creative in it to where like you're using the same colors or something like that. Here are some examples. So an art museum put out this as a challenge, and so I just thought I would show you guys a few examples here. And so this is the artwork that they found, which is just a horse, and they created it out of their dirty laundry and Trader Joe's bags. I don't think that that's like the best example, but it is one. This artwork is a man from probably somewhere in the 15 or 1600s, and he's wearing these really elaborate robes, and he has a little wig. And the person, actually, I have no idea when that was from. I just made that up. But the person from nowadays got his comfy bathrobe and his book and has his computer set up monitors here to comment on how he's looking kind of like that. A still life is anything that's set up that you're either photographing or painting, and so that you set up specifically to do that in a certain way. So this person set up fruit in a basket and wine and like a cloth and folded it in certain ways so that they could paint all those different textures and colors. But the person that recreated it, they set up like quarantine stuff that they're using for supplies and photographed that. On this one, this is like some stuff around her house that she used to make the same form. So you can also use sculptures. They used multiple members of their family. You could use your dog, you could use your sister, you could use your mom and dad, you could put multiple people in this. I like this one up here, but I really like this one with the dog instead of the baby. And then this is just this, it doesn't even have to have a person in it. So this is just a tray of like fancy tea stuff, and this is their like quarantine edition. There's actually an Instagram account that some people created with this idea in mind. And so the Instagram account is Kovac Classics, and this is the first one they did. And so they showed their version of it first, and then they showed the famous artwork in the slide over from Instagram. And so this is the famous artwork they kind of were inspired by, but the way he had this idea is he said he was about to get on a Zoom call, like we are now, and he couldn't find a hat, and his hair looked like junk, so he put a towel around his head, and then he felt like he looked like he had seen this artwork, I don't know where, but it reminded him of this guy. And so he did the pose and posted it because he thought it was funny. And then he just started doing this with other famous artwork. So the one that I just showed you guys, American Gothic, and it says like the artwork info here too. So this is American Gothic, the artwork, and then this is their version of it. And they dressed up and made it fun too, but they even did so with just like funny things around their house. Like I'm sure she didn't have a green dress exactly like this, but she did have this giant green comforter. So be creative with it. It's supposed to be kind of funny. This is a famous photograph, and she has a black robe on. I don't have all this stuff probably to make this in my house, but this is like material here. It's not an actual thing that's wrapped around her head. So try to be creative with it. Don't put so much stress on yourself, but this is just an example of how somebody did that. And here's where you can look for famous artwork. So the museum that put out this as a challenge is the J. Paul Getty Museum. And so I went ahead and linked that for you. You don't have to use this resource. There are a ton of different art museums that have virtual libraries and virtual tours. You can just look up famous artworks. But you can look through these as well, and maybe it'll just give you some ideas, right? And I feel like I could create something out of most of these, and just like some of them will be better than others, but just be creative with it and have fun. I want this class to be something that you can just, again, be creative with, not worry about too much, but have that space to stretch your creativity muscle a little bit. So I'm going to stop the share now. And so it is 2:22. Class has been going for 22 minutes. For the future, like I said, first 10 minutes, we're going to chat about what you create next time. I'm going to give questions for a minute. The next 10 minutes is going to be me talking about what we're going to do next class or what we're going to create between now and next class. And then the last few minutes, I'm going to leave for just question and answer. And so this is going to be the only live class you have a week. It's going to be every single week, same time. And then the rest of the week, your assignment is just what I give you in this class. I'm going to upload the slideshow. I'm going to upload this replay of the video for any of your classmates that missed it. And I'm going to make this an assignment in Google Classroom so that whenever you have taken your picture, you can upload it. So what we're going to do now is, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask it. And if you don't, you can go ahead and hop off. But it was so really great to see you guys. Yes, Jeffrey.
Okay, so we're taking a picture